back to 10. Tigers having to work a lot harder for their buckets. Anstey gets it to Tommy Greer. He loads outside the three-point line. Tommy Greer with 2 straight. Lead is 7. Big bucket by the Melbourne Tigers junior.
Well, he was actually played his junior basketball for Knox, but that one again.
Tommy Greer feeling a little more confident with that stroke. Spoke to him before the game, and he said it was such a good feeling to have a couple of long-range bombs go down.
Tony Thomas, Alex!
Great pass. What a pass. What a read by Patrick Mills. Here we go.
Hey, Freddie! Come on, Freddie!
You saw that. He's causing it. You saw that, right? Hey, you saw that.
He got time, didn't he, Steve? He just wanted to make a point, try and get that defense off him. But Tommy Greer is in the zone.
He sure is. Dorsey comes with numbers. Tommy Greer has all day. And he has done just that tonight. Every time he's had a good look, he has knocked it down.
Time to now touch base with Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, the CEO of the Phoenix, and Tommy Greer, as you join us. I've always said, to be a great CEO of any professional sporting team, you have to, of course, start a franchise, and then in your second year, you have to deal with a pandemic. So right now, you're ticking all boxes. Welcome, my man. How you tracking?
I'm tracking all right. I think by the end of this, I'm going to be ready to write a book, I think, after launching a franchise in the NBL. And then, like you said, on the back of that, going into a pandemic, there's been no downtime, I'll tell you that much.
Hey, so much going on, so much to get into as we work towards, finishing the roster as well. But you got the beard, you've got the hair going right now. Is that a quarantine thing, or is that a whole, I'm not having a shave and a haircut to the Phoenix win the championship? Which way are we going to go with this?
Well, don't blame me for that, man. You can talk to Dan Andrews about that one, but I haven't been able to get out and get a haircut. It's looking a bit rogue. I'm not sure how long I've got left with all this going on up top as well. So I thought I'll just make the most and let it grow out a bit.
All right, before I let the boys loose on you, seriously trying to straighten up a little bit here. You've just been thrown straight into this thing. Of course, last year, as we've touched on, was a wonderful job for a first-year franchise. But in this second year, are you still enjoying it? How are you handling what seems to be a new challenge, both within your club and the state of Victoria almost every day?
Yeah, look, I think you've got to find ways to enjoy it. Otherwise, you're not going to make it through, right? So we try and do our best, as a group and as a club, just try and find the small wins where we can and celebrate them. And there's a bit more positivity with those numbers coming down. So we're trying to focus on that and focus on, the start date for the season and getting ready for that. So, look, doing the best we can. Obviously, it's tough for everyone, but trying to stay as positive as we can.
Grizz, there may be one or two coolest CEOs around the league, but one thing we know about the Phoenix is that you guys have the coolest ownership group in the competition. Shout out to, Matt Walsh and the Matrix and a few other, Kevin Martin, but with your crew that you have, coolest ownership group in the league. I understand you had a bit of an owners meeting this morning. What came out of that?
We did. So it was actually, it was a little funny. I was texting with them last week trying to organise a time for us all to catch up and have a little bit of a chat about where everything was up to and how they can continue to help us. And Zach Randolph jumped on straight away and he's like, oh, well, let's do next Tuesday. I'll be in Cabo. And then out of nowhere, Al Harrington's like, no way, man. I'm going to be in Cabo too. And so we've got an owners meeting with all of our owners in Cabo, just living the dream while I'm here stuck in an apartment for the last 6 months.
Nice. What's their feel of things? How are they getting involved? Dante, Chill, everyone on the call?
Yep, everyone on the call. So look, they're all remaining positive and they're all really sort of bought in. They're really happy, obviously, with the first year. A lot of talk around recruitment at the moment. That's one space they can really help us, and we're also sort of talking how they can help us with a bit of engagement socially and on our platforms there as well. So we're going to really get their faces a bit more out there this year now that we've established ourselves.
Speaking of recruitment,
here we go.
As my former teammate, as my guy,
what do you got, Corey?
I got number love for you. In any way I can help, I will, on or off the record. But I got a guy I think that can, at that point guard spot, I think I got a guy for you.
Who is it?
He played in Europe.
Yep.
He had some success in Europe. He can shoot the ball. He can get to the rack. He's a great leader, super poised, can push the ball at any tempo, half court, full court, great in pick and rolls. You run a lot of pick and rolls, and I think he can bring the best out of the local players as well.
I like that, man. I've been waiting. I haven't heard from you in the last 6 months. Normally I get a few sort of text messages here and there about some guys you're talking to.
I got a guy. His name is Jordan Theodore. This point guard is the real deal.
He is
from
the
New
real
Jersey.
Deal. He is the real
He
deal.
is legit.
Jordan Theodore. Jordan Theodore is the real deal. There you go.
Oh!
Yep.
Okay. So I don't even have to. Okay, so look, I don't even have to sell it anymore because you know the guy.
Yep.
Look
No Jordan. Yep.
Listen, Jordan's the real deal.
That's a good name. I reckon that's the best name you've ever thrown me.
Okay, fair enough. Hey, listen, look, I'm good. I'm getting better with time, basically. Going the right way.
I like that name, Corey.
I know he wants to come to Australia. That I know. He always wanted to come to Australia. So, yeah, man. A lot of guys are in my inbox these days. You know what I'm saying? And some guys, I'm like, listen, it ain't a cupcake league. And some guys, I'm like, yo, this could work. Like, you would be good in this league, So that was just a name. I know the point guard position is available. I don't know anything else, but I know that guy got game.
I like it, Corey. Let's keep talking.
Well, how does this work now? Obviously, Tommy, you already know the guy. So does Corey still got 10% if you do, in fact, sign him?
I don't want any commission.
Is it a similar deal to Liam and Kendall Stevens?
Come on, guys. We got too many topics to cover here. Let's talk about breakdown salaries.
Let's talk about the point guard position. Of course, John Robertson there last year. Are you looking to maybe have a slight tweak in game style where you might be looking at predominantly a pass first point guard, more so than John Robertson, who, of course, is just a flat-out scorer?
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, I think John was a little bit underrated in how he did sort of distribute the basketball. I think he finished third with sort of 6 or so dimes a game last year, so he was pretty good in that respect as well. But we are looking for a slight change. We want someone a bit more dynamic, a bit longer, a bit more athletic, someone who can sort of get up, play that full court defense, really sort of pester some guys on the defensive end while making the most of these, like Corey mentioned before, that Australian contingent we've brought in. We really want to get the most out of Cammy Glidden and Ruben Tarangi, and we're going to be looking to those guys a lot. So finding the right PG this season, it's going to be key.
For his second year of kind of putting a team together, recruiting imports, and as we spoke about before, such a different situation this year to not only last year, but anything we've people in your position have dealt with over a period of time. What is your read on the kind of global landscape in terms of recruiting talent right now?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, obviously we're going down a little bit different track to some of the other clubs. I think there's a few clubs sort of sitting with us at the moment, which is in that sort of wait and see boat. With so much unknown on the internet, in the sort of international landscape, there's a lot of talk of G League potentially not going ahead, NCAA might not go ahead, EuroLeague doesn't quite know what it's going to do, and the timing of all that, all those different leagues and situations really all does play into one another. So sort of working out how that is going to fall really will be the key to the whole thing. A lot of the conversations we're having with sort of prominent agents in Europe and across the board is that they're really almost astounded by the amount of high-level talent that's still sitting out there without a job at the moment, and that's probably going to remain away for the next little while. So I think that, depending on sort of whether the seasons fall, there could be a massive opportunity to bring in some really big names into the league.
Right. Because part of that is you talk about guys on the NBA fringe, right? Who come in, those guys like Bryce Cotton, Lamar Patterson, Scotty Hobson, who I know you've had some conversations with, that they come in and do really well, but often they need a bit of time to see what their NBA prospects are going to look like. And like when you're over, teams are over in Vegas in July, usually have to play a bit of a waiting game, and then a player might go, actually, you know what? I'm ready.
As usual, this is what happens. He gets excited at recruiting, scouting. He boots his microphone out and go on, mate. You're nearly there. You nearly got there.
I think I got the drift of it. I got the drift of it. But it's it's changed. Like the whole environment's changed, and a lot of it's not settled yet. Like in a normal season, it's cookie cutter, it's template. You know that when you need to be striking, you know when you need to sort of set all your clauses for and all that type of stuff, and when stuff ticks over. But this year it's different. Nothing's set. Everything is still in the air. All of those major leagues with the players we're looking at still haven't come to any sort of firm decisions, which I think ultimately is going to play in our favour, if we can remain patient.
How much did it, obviously, Ty Wesley retirement and then the Yanni Wetzel, obviously that situation with the out clause, how much did that dramatically, in particular Ty Wesley, how much did that dramatically alter what you were looking at, who you might have been looking at? I know, as you just touched on, things are so different than normal, but did it change dramatically what you were trying to do with the roster?
Look, the Ty Wesley one, potentially more than the Yanni situation, just given Ty's skill set and what he brings. But with both of those departures comes a whole lot of opportunity, right? Yanni, whilst he was a great prospect coming out of college, wasn't probably the perfect fit for a backup four-man for us. It wasn't really his role. We're going to have to squeeze him into minutes at the 5 and find ways to make that work. It's probably a little bit more expensive than we would have spent on a regular backup position. So that's now opened up opportunity to go look at higher level imports, find a fit that works better for us, and we'll actually have a better sort of structured team for the upcoming season. So it is really just a matter of when you sign the position rather than anything else. You've just got to get the first thing to tick over first, which will lead you into your next decision. Yeah.
How excited were you guys to get Ruben Tarangi and Cam Glidden, knowing how much they have to give and how much more this upcoming season is for them to show everybody that they still got it?
Oh man, Liam will vouch for this one. We've had talks offline. I was ecstatic about both of them. I feel like these were two of the really big sort of off-season gets in terms of local talent. Both of them have incredible ability, international experience. Ruben is already considered one of the leaders on that sort of Tall Blacks squad and has a lot to give. And Cam Glidden, he's one of the all-star Australian talents in the league for mine. Like he just requires the opportunity, and we're going to put him in all the right spots this year. And look, we're fully backing that both those guys are going to have really big years.
How are you handling the lockdown, Grizz? How's it impacting?
What does my hair tell you? It's going great. It's going great. It's going.
Can you get to practice? You've been watching Dane Pinot shoot threes. How's it impacting?
Look, it's been tough, obviously. All the reports sort of coming out of, the two NBL clubs at the moment. The Victorian government's been great, giving us the exemption so we can keep training, but it's changed everything. Our media teams aren't even allowed in the gym. I've not visited the gym for the last, it'd be pushing 2 months since I've been in the gym. We sort of really do live and operate on Zoom and Teams and all of those video conferencing tools. So it's definitely been tough. Looking towards being able to get back in the gym at some point.
Looking towards the season now, obviously Victorian government and as you just touched on, when it comes to being able to get bigger crowds in, it seems a long way away to be able to get crowds into any major sporting event in Victoria. But if that doesn't happen and you have to go into a hub, you have to spend a little bit of more time maybe on the road than normal, does that financially impact your ability to be able to get a roster, or is it going to stay the same either way? Because no fans, less revenue. Does that hurt you when putting together a playing team?
Yeah, it does. We're set up a little bit differently with a sort of international ownership group, and we've come to a bit of an understanding of where we fall in terms of that sort of spend when it comes to roster. So I don't think it's going to impact that too greatly. Like, we know where we need to sort of land on that mark, and to make sure that we're putting a team together that can contend. It doesn't, I guess. Sorry, I know that's not the answer you're after, mate, but
no, because it is, and I guess luck, and that's why when I say luck, the great amount of work you've been able to do to put together that ownership does help you in these type of situations, no doubt. So I wouldn't say luck, but it also is.
And you just get a little bit, and you get a little bit more crafty as well. Depending on the length of the season and what that looks like, gives you other options to be able to structure a contract in a way that, maybe it's for a shorter period of time and allows you to still get that high level talent or whatever it may be. think also the situation that Australia is in, you know, given that we're handling the virus and pandemic so well, is a great selling point. You know, are we comfortable throwing out, after Liam tweeted it the other day, but, you know, conversations with guys like McCullum, like they wouldn't have come about a year ago, but the situation with the virus and how safe Australia is presenting to the rest of the world truly is a selling point.
Speaking of selling points, Next Stars, you in the game?
We're in the game. Yep, we're absolutely in the game. We've been over the last couple of months really sort of diving down that path, trying to you know, identify some guys, and we're getting closer. We're getting pretty close.
What did you learn? Terry Armstrong, of course, last year probably didn't work for both sides. If you speak to both sides of the parties, as well as I think a lot of people thought it might. Did you learn a great deal? Not necessarily about Terry Armstrong, but about the process and also about the best way to fit someone into a program and help them adapt to living in a new country at such a young age.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, a lot of that last year was about sort of developing and providing, helping, you know, provide that training environment for a young kid to help him develop and put himself in a position to get drafted last year. Whereas this year we're looking at it differently. We're looking for a ready-to-go guy. You know, like we're looking for someone who can come in and actually contribute straight away, someone who we can play minutes and actually sort of, you know, see him out there on the floor, you know, across the season. So different approach this year, less about that development, more of a sort of not a finished product, but someone who's close to that point.
Almost like give us something to finish with.
Jordan Theodore.
You got a big man?
That's a point guard.
No, have you got a big man?
You got a big man in your books? In your inbox?
Not right now. I'll text Tommy later. I'll do some more research at that 5.
You owe me a phone call anyway, Corey, man. You owe me a phone call anyway. It's been too long.
True that, Tommy.
Grizz, Creaky hooking you up with some Puma?
Oh. He needs to be. I'll tell you what. Yeah, I haven't seen any shoes yet, but yeah, I mean, he's done well there, hasn't he?
You're going to need a bigger house. That's one thing for certain.
I like my champion gear better anyway. So.
Beautifully done. Hey, Tommy, appreciate your time. It has been such a remarkable 3 or 4 months, and to be in the position you are, leading a franchise. Do we all expect bigger and better things in season 2 as we head towards NBL 21, mate? Good luck with the bid. Do not lose it. Do not lose the hair either. We want to see when NBL 21 starts. That's what we want to see. So thanks for joining us, man.
Good on you guys, and keep up the great work. Love the show.
Hey, Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, big first year in the NBL. Let's have a look at a little bit of their highlights.
Double team. Pino. 2 left. He's going to have to put it up. 1 left. Mitch Creek put it up, Mitch. Wow! That is sensational.
In the crisis, have a look at this. You were counting it down, Dwayne, and just gets it off. And
might need to give him a few more looks. It's only his second field goal attempt. He's 2 of 2 from the field for his 4 points.
How about that tough job? That defies physics.
And Kenny to inbound. Pinot with the long arms. Comes up with the steal. And the Phoenix with a chance to tie it up and send it into overtime. Robertson! Wow. Yes! John Robertson!
Wow. Well, there they are, Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, NBL 20 franchise debut. It was great to watch. They did miss the playoffs, but as I said, right there when Tommy Greer just joined us, bigger and better. And let's have a look at the depth chart as we have a look to what they need. Of course, we touched on point guard, we touched on the center, backup power forward, in our mind, at least to Mitch Creek as well. So look at the depth chart. Liam Santamaria, I'm going to start with you. Like point guards, what do you reckon is the main ingredient they need to chase right now?
They need a dog. They need a defensive hound. They need someone to be the head of their defense. That thing, their defense was their Achilles heel last year. This team could put points on the board, no doubt about it. But they weren't long enough. They weren't athletic enough, and they just couldn't get stops consistently enough to get over the hump. They were close in a lot of games, but fourth quarter, get down and dirty and defend, and they couldn't get that done. And I think that's the number one thing they need from the point guard position. They need length and athleticism at the center spot, but yeah, I mean, they need someone with a bit of size who can get after it defensively, play make, can put some points on the board, but a guy who can stand up and lead the way defensively, I think, at the one.
Is that your man, Homicide?
Well, whether it's my man or not, they definitely.
But I mean, he's got some dog in him.
You know what I mean? I don't talk about anybody that doesn't have a dog in him.
Okay, my apologies.
Yeah, I think that the point is you have to be able to get a leader. So down the stretch, which they've lost so many majority of those games were lost down the stretch, the last 5-4 minutes of the game. So leadership is key, along with everything else Liam said. So hopefully they'll get that right. Obviously a center and a backup for 4-man.
Did you see Tommy's eyes when you mentioned Jordan Theodore's name?
I didn't. I didn't even know that he knew Jordan Theodore. So, that's just that's good to know that he he's on the right track for sure.
Because he last season, thinking of the right guy? I think he shared the backcourt at Unix Kazan with Eric McCollum.
Yeah, he was in Russia last year.
Yeah. So I tweeted yesterday that they had some conversations with McCollum, who's a bit more of a scoring type of guy, whereas Theodore's a bit more of a distributor. But I think that's the kind of guy. He's maybe not as much of a big defensive guy, but I think that's definitely the kind of guy that they need.
How about when it comes to the centre position? How much do you think, Dane Pinot, of course, who was outstanding last year, and we had this conversation, of course, when they made that import change halfway through NBL 20. I was pushing for the way they ended up going because I thought Dane Pinot deserved his chances. He started this thing surprisingly so well. He had that great year, and I thought he earned the chance. But do you think it's going to? And you talk about those last 4 or 5 minutes in big games and everything that Dane does so well, scoring and being a go-to man is not one of them that is his main skill set. Do you think sliding him in to play that backup spot and having a centre who can command the ball and get it done in the low post late makes that job a little bit easier for whoever the point guard might be, or at least in late game situations?
100%. You need a guy who you can throw the ball to from time to time and, make a play off the dribble, control the paint defensively. I mean, look what Sydney did. That was Sydney's blueprint with Andrew Bogut. They had a guy who controlled the paint defensively. At times he can go down there and get you a bucket, put back and finish, but it's just more control the paint defensively, I think. I think they don't need to rely on the center to get buckets because they're going to share that by committee with their team. Scoring wasn't a problem for them. It was more defense. So I think they need to get a defensive-minded center in there.
I think the prototype for them at that spot is Cam Oliver. Right now, it's hard. Cam Olivers don't grow on trees, but a guy that is a 5'4", and you can start alongside Mitch Creek and can block shots and command. He's a presence down low, rebound, but can also step out and stretch the floor. And you feel very comfortable if you want to slide Creaky to the 3. You can slide him to the 4 alongside Pinot. That's. I mean, it's funny. I think Scott Machado and Cam Oliver, it seems obvious to say, but those two guys are I think the prototypes for what they need in those spots.
Hashtag NBL Overtime. Southeast Melbourne Phoenix fans, hit us up. Hashtag Heartland as well. Of course, we're heading to their second year, and we just spoke to Tommy Greer as well about all things Southeast Melbourne Phoenix. Any last things before we get to the other Melbourne team?
Oh, man. Let's do it. I think they seem pretty – you hear him talk. They seem pretty solid on bringing in an X-star. So that could impact – he's talking about a guy that's ready to go and play minutes. That could impact the structure of the roster a little bit as well.
Just on that, I think that's how the Next Star program will go from now on in. Now, of course, when it was originally brought in, teams were using, as Tommy touched on, to develop, introduce them to the professional ranks. I think now, Dida Lazada is a perfect example of that last year. They're like, CEOs, GMs, clubs are like, you know what? We don't need a guy who's going to give us 25 a game, but we want a guy that has the possibility at certain times to be able to stand up and give us 25 points a game. It won't happen every week, but I think the Next Star and the way that which clubs are looking at it has dramatically changed in the last 6 months.
No doubt. I mean, you get a guy that's almost free on your roster. The NBL is going to pay a chunk, if not all of its salary, sits outside your
is that the cap?
The numbers on your roster and the imports. Of course, everybody wants a Dida Lazada.